Well, hi everyone, here's a wonderful route that we started just outside Airton, which is north of Gargrave, but you could easily start at Malham, and it's a route you can see that goes from a town called Airton up to Settle, round through Stainforth, and then up near the Malham Tarn, and then down through the steep descent at Malham. And there's some wonderful climbs and descents and views. So here we are leaving Airton. That's a very quiet little village, a lovely little house up here on the left as we go past this mansion. But we continue to ascend up the hill, and we're really just working our way along to Airton. So we're going to come round the corner in a minute. We're going to turn left over a very narrow bridge, and that will now take us into Airton. So we've got quite a sweet little bit of route here, and it's quite exposed, and we found it was quite windy at the time, but the road surface throughout most of this is pretty spectacular. So you can do this on road tyres if you really wanted, but I think modern road tyres, it will be excellent anyway, but if you've got a gravel bike or MTB, it's just as suitable. So we're heading our way towards Airton now, and wonderful sort of views keep popping out above the walls on each side. Again, watch out for the motorbikes that you get. There's quite a lot of them around here, particularly on Sundays, but you should be able to hear them coming because it's generally very quiet. So here we are on the outskirts of the village, the first little bit. We still haven't hit Airton yet. Here we go, this is Airton. And it's got a lovely green in the middle of it, and we park there sometimes, but head your way off, and then we turn left almost immediately, and that is our route. So rather than heading towards Malham, we turn left, and now we work our way to Settle. Now this route does occasionally have lorries and a few other vehicles on it, but it's pretty good quality, and there's not much in the way of really steep climbs. It's fairly gradual, great surface. Occasionally in the wet you might find there's a bit of mud accumulating, particularly near the farms on the inside edge, but here you can see we're travelling at a good speed, good pace, and we're not actually far from the big moorland that is on the outside of Settle. So we can continue to ascend, and you'll see that the villages disappear and it becomes more and more remote as we get towards the top. And then we'll turn across the moor. And we would recommend this is a great place to walk as well around here. There's some wonderful waterfalls and others that lead from the top. So here we are ascending, and you can see how windswept it is, but not too much of an ascent. And now we're out on the moors where it's really exposed, and you'll see a lot of the trees have suffered quite a lot in the last few years. Road surface continues to be okay, but there are a few vehicles, and it's not unexpected to find sheep in the middle of the road as well, so always keep your eye open for those. But here we go over the cattle grid. That one's really steep, and now this is the moorland. So the moorland here is very exposed, and we've done this a few times. We often find that there's motorhomes and others that are parked theoretically in the passing spaces, but they stick halfway across the road. The advantage is that you can see them, but do be ready for when we get to the end. So there's some vehicles that are going quite fast down this section, and we had to stop there. But as we work our way towards Settle, we're going to gradually climb, and then on the descent it is extremely fast, so we do need to watch it for. If you have a look at the terrain chart, you'll see that the drop, that last bit into Settle, is really quite steep. So here we start to descend now, and you'd be surprised how quickly the speed picks up, but there's lots of blind bends and as always a car or a walker in the middle of the road. So no matter how fast you think you can go, you're going to have to slow down for them. Please make sure you ring your bell as well as you get nearer to them. So here we are crashing down almost into Settle, and then we hit the town of Settle. It is really steep in places and it's cobbles in parts. So down here it's cobblestones. We work our way through the town and then we turn right onto this big main road. Now the main road is quite busy, so once we go underneath the railway bridge then we know we're okay, and we're turning right now on the road to Langcliffe, which is a quiet, sleepy little village. And there's plenty of parking around here if you'd prefer to park in this section. So you can see there's these stopping places all along, and we keep going. So again, under the railway another time, and head towards Langcliffe, and some really great walks around Langcliffe, as well as there are wonderful walks around Settle. So we go up here, and I think there's a right turn coming up once we reach the top of the hill, around this big hedge. Maybe not just yet. So we've parked there on left of the houses, and there's a walk down to an old mill and a range of other things. That's a pretty walk beside the river and the lakes, but no, the right turn is further down up here towards Langcliffe. So we descend down, and then we're going to hit the brakes hard when we get to the junction. Looks like I've misread it and it's a lot further away than I thought. So we've gone through Langcliffe. Now Stainforth is on its way. I think it's just round the corner here, but then I've said that many times before. So we head down. You can tell when you're getting near actually, because there's a big church there. So here's the village coming up, and just up here, not that one, but this one, we turn right, and we went up to the church, and we sat and had lunch in the churchyard just here. And it's actually a really pretty little place, so have a little wander round. It's a lovely village. They clearly look after it, and we found that is a little St John's Gospel for which they used to give to the soldiers in the First World War, and our daughter was involved in a project where they were distributed. Clearly they haven't done a huge amount of clearing up, but you can see that we had tea and flapjack. So back on the route, we're now going through Stainforth, a very pretty village, funny sort of narrow lanes that you can see here, and then back out onto the main road. And now we start climbing up towards Black Hill, and when we get to the top, that's where there's a detour as to whether we go to Malham Tarn or will we just turn right and head towards Malham itself. But there's lots of climbs now, and some of them are relatively steep. So this one was about 15%, and there's a few that are 20% and around that. So for those of you that like climbing, then this is a great opportunity to get that done. So as we work our way finally up this long climb to the top, you can see on the terrain chart that we're heading up to that top of that second peak that we've got there. And there's a series of sort of rises and climbs that we've got taken in this part, but throughout the road surface is spectacular. You know, they're not digging it up for roadworks, for anything, you know, no services, gas mains, water mains to anybody's house, and we just have that single power line and telephone line along the top. So we're going to turn right here, and now we've got a 20% climb. This is absolutely brutal, this little bit. it was quite savage at times, and in fact what happened was that my wife got off and I finished it without her, because we couldn't actually make it to the top. It was particularly steep. The road is in excellent condition, there's no reason why we were slippering on anything, but then when you get to the top it's relatively level. So here we go on the flat, and there's a little bit more ascent that we can see here as we get towards the top, and great views across the tarn. And now as we cross the cattle grids there, we continue to climb gradually towards the highest peak. Not hard at any of this point, but for those of you that like climbing, this is going to be an excellent climb. For the rest of us, it's a bit of a slog. But once we reach the top, then there's pretty much a bit of up and down, but generally we're on the descent. But we haven't made it to that rapid descent yet. So we're going to turn left here for the view of Malham Tarn. And we could have gone right and cut this little triangle off that you can see on the right of the screen, but we decided to go left and get a decent view right the way down. So we're following along through this farmland. There's a few junctions and a few turns, and some people are using this rather disused road because it doesn't really go anywhere. They're using it for opportunities for parking to get elsewhere, so you just got to watch out a little bit. But here we're on the descent, and you can see from the terrain chart that we are descending a little bit on this section, but there's nothing like the really steep descent. And the view of the tarn is over there on our right, so we've now turned a sharp angle and now we're heading our way back, and you can see on that what looks like vertical section there, you can see the houses and the trees there. Got a little bit of ascent now to get towards the top, and then we're going to do a sharp left turn and we're on our way back to the town of Malham. So over the cattle grid, past the houses and trees on the corner, and that's the car park for those people that want to visit the tarn. Head away over. Now it's quite exposed here. The wind we actually found was quite strong, and it was quite blowy, and sent the front wheel gusting around all over the place, so just be a bit careful. It looks like some kids have been up there playing, burning their wheels off, and now we've taken a hard turn and we're heading up. There's these lone sycamore trees all over the place, and it just reminds me of the tree at Sycamore Gap on Hadrian's Wall. And now we're heading towards the top of the hill and descending. Now it's a 14% descent, but it is absolutely savage in places because you can't really see what's happening, so you pick up a hell of a speed, but the road is zigzagging backwards and forwards as you descend, so do be careful. There are cars everywhere, there's people jumping out, and now you see how quickly we've made it into the town of Malham. And so you just head up here towards the visitor centre, and almost opposite there's a church there, and almost opposite is a place to sit, and that's where we had our lunch. And now we head off out of the town and making back to Airton, which is where we rejoined our original route, and many of you would choose to park at Airton. So a little bit of climbing. Actually some of the climbs are a little bit steep in this point, but after what you've just done, not too much of an issue. Now what I would recommend is avoiding Malham during school leaving time, because we've been caught behind a bus there before now, and it literally brings all the traffic to a completely grinding halt. So here we are heading through some of the smaller towns, and you know when you get to Airton because you've got that beautiful big triangular green in the middle of the village. So here we go, coming into the edge of it. There we go, and then when we come out, we've got this little 20% descent. It's not very long, but it was quite hard there. We're now into the village of Colton, and Airton is not far at all. So we follow through the village, and this is the quiet bit that we came up on our way out. Very narrow, and road surface is wonderful, but you do get a lot of cars this time. So we're getting to about 4:30 in the afternoon at the moment, and the result of that is there's a lot of cars coming back, either people finishing work early or they're collecting children from schools. Bit of a climb again. And then drop down past the motorhome. A few farms. And we're nearly back. So we're just going to get over this little humpback bridge, and there's a quick right turn. And this is our final part back in towards Airton. So we come up over the top, and you'll soon see the farm on our right, and the beautiful big house that's just after here. So we've just passed the house, and now back up to the campsite. So here's the route, 45 kilometres, and just shy of 1,000 feet of climb, 920 feet of climb. So thank you for joining us on this little route, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for loads more rides along this line. And you can find our GPX file for this route, and you can see that link on the right. Find our commute page, Paul and Diane on the Tandem, and we look forward to seeing you on the next ride, which I have absolutely no idea where that's going to be. We've got so many that I've still got to edit out. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and bye for now. Bye.